Do you feel comfortable saying your income or?
Yeah, I think so.
I made a comment on one of the podcasts that $250,000 to $300,000 of household income is where middle class, middle class, all the way up to maybe even $450,000 to $500,000, depending on family size, of course.
It's crazy these days.
That's middle class. And I was reading once, someone sent me a text that I believe the high middle class in the non-Jewish world is like 200,000, like something like that. So what is your household income? Welcome, Shalom Becker.
How are you?
Vice President. I'm great. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
So Shalom Becker is the Vice President of Purchasing.
Yes.
At Millennial, what was it?
Millennial Healthcare.
Millennial Healthcare. Of course, this is one of the reasons we brought Shalom on the podcast is because he's in healthcare. Very popular Jewish business, second to being a speech therapist. Healthcare business. And a lot of this podcast has to do with the feedback that I received from the audience on our podcast with Ari Boyanju, who's also just a, quote, regular middle-class person who's doing well, putting away money, financially secure, not living the dream necessarily, but also just planned properly. And the audience wanted to hear from someone in, let's say, I don't want to call it a younger age bracket, but someone more in the, let's call it the beginning to mid-level stage. And I've known Shalom now for about almost 10 years at this point.
Like that, yeah.
Like 10 years. One of my first clients when I started the business. I appreciate that, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you for trusting me back then. Don't forget these things. And I admire Shalom because he at this point is also financially secure. And what that means is not necessarily a lot of debt. Thank God, supports the family. Has a family, and I'd love my audience to hear how he's done that and how you do it, and that's really what the regular middle class people want to hear. So let's begin with that. Sean, maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. First of all, thank you for calling me young. I appreciate that.
Well, you're my age, so I'm young.
Oh, okay. That's fine. A little bit about myself. So my name is Shalom Becker. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush. Grew up my whole life there. Got married about 11 years ago now and been living in Rockaway ever since. I'm married to Abigail Shapiro, and we have 4 kids, Kanai Nahara.
4 kids.
Yeah. And we're living, like I said, we're living in Rockaway. Bought a house about 4 years ago, I think now. And Baruch Hashem, that's the gist of it.
Pretty regular, right?
Yeah.
Nothing, no grade shakes. But again, that's what people want to see and hear about. So let's talk about your journey through your profession.
Sure.
So where did you start? Because I know now you're vice president. I don't think that's, could be someone like you started
right there, right?
Right? Started right at the top. But knowing you for a while, I know you started really from, I don't want to call it the bottom, but you've built up.
Yeah.
So tell us where your profession started.
So my profession started, well, first I was in Kola for a little bit, for about 3-4 months. And then we were looking at our finances and we're like, okay, you know what this is? We need to do something else right now. So I actually started very simply. I was working in a special ed class for about a year and a half. While still learning First Seder, so it was a good start. I was able to do a little bit.
Where were you living then?
I was living in Rockaway still. Yeah.
You were living in Rockaway. Yeah. So just to cut you off quickly, did you go to Israel after you got married? Or?
No, I never did that. Always wanted to, but it wasn't in the books for us.
Okay.
Yeah, but
fair enough.
Yeah, right away. Lived in Rockaway. Rented had a little 1-bedroom apartment. It was it was fun times. And yeah, so I was saying that I worked there for about a year and a half, and it was good because I was able to still learn First Seder. It was good, and I worked in the second part of the day. But I think about after 2 years of marriage, I wanted to just get into the regular working world. I wasn't making much money then; it was very little. And I started. Actually, was working right here in this building.
Oh, this building. Yeah,
Yeah, that's funny.
Cedarhurst Center.
Cedar Center. Yeah,
A lot of people have passed through the doors of this building, for good and for bad.
I know. Walking up the steps here brought back a lot of memories. It was about 10 years ago. I worked for a company called Sharp Fits for about a year. And
Interesting.
yeah, it got me into the world of purchasing. I think they call themselves a sourcing company, where they help all sorts of companies find different products. I worked there for about a year, and then I got into the healthcare field. I became director of purchasing for a healthcare company. I've moved through several.
Which company was that?
The first company was Champion Healthcare.
Champion Healthcare. And where was that located?
That was in Rockville Center. They had nursing homes also throughout the Midwest.
So what is, I'm going to also, as you go through your story, just ask you questions.
Sure, please.
So what does it mean to be a purchase vice president, or what does it mean to be in purchasing? Pardon my ignorance,
Sure.
But for other people to know.
Yeah, everyone wants to know. Everyone asks me, it's like, oh, so you just buy Band-Aids and diapers all day?
Right, what's purchasing?
Yeah. So anything that really comes in, usually you're managing multiple buildings for a healthcare portfolio, and any contract, any vendor, any product that's coming to the building, you're really controlling and negotiating that. So anything really that comes in the building, and you build a central purchasing system where you go through an approval process, you're going through budgets, you're creating budgets, you're making sure you're negotiating with the vendors to get the best prices on anything from the smallest little Band-Aids to the biggest services in the building, A through Z. So it's very, very all encompassing, and it's very rewarding too. But it's very, there's a lot to do, and I think every company looks at it a little bit different. Every company focuses on different aspects of it, and I think every purchaser focuses on different aspects. So it's really it's unique for every company, I think.
So vice president of purchasing, or purchasing means you control the supplies that come in.
Correct.
Or approved purchases. Wow, so you have a large responsibility. I guess in your profession, you're reporting a lot with the CFO, or like who's your manager? Like,
yeah, right now it's and now I was just saying, so I went through several different companies over the my 9-10 years in the field. And I mean, to the company right now, I am reporting to the CEO. But I'm definitely in constant communication with the clinical team, with all our consultants, with the facilities. So really, really everyone in corporate, but my main person, I'm definitely communicating with the CEO.
Okay, so talk me through how your progression. So you started out in special. You were learning part-time, let's say, and then special ed.
Yeah.
So that came from, you went to school?
No, it was actually just a
like a gig.
Yeah, it was just a gig. It was something that I could learn a little bit, because I still wanted to get that, a little bit of colo life in. So
Yes.
I was able to learn that first Seder, and that was such a lifetime ago. I barely remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was still able to get that first Seder learning, and I worked in the second half of the day. So I was able, it was very minimal money, but I was able to bring home a little bit at that point, and it worked. It worked for a little while.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I'm focusing on these things because I want our audience to see how you've built up, because that's really how the middle class evolves to get to your point. So, so how did you get by those years? Were you frugal? And you can, whatever you're comfortable answering,
For sure.
How did you get by financially in those years when you were bringing in just mainly a side gig, let's call it, income-wise? Again, did you go into debt, or did you borrow wisely? Like, what got you through the beginning years?
So we never really had much help, honestly. I mean, a little bit here, a little bit there in the first year of our marriage. But I think it was a little bit easier back then because our expenses were a lot less. I think we only had one child. We're at we decided to go to a very small basement type of apartment, which helped us keep down cost. I mean, we had to live frugally. We had to do what we needed to do. We didn't drive. We didn't lease a car. I think we had one car at that point.
What do you mean you didn't lease a car?
We didn't. We didn't lease any vehicles. I mean, later on in life we did.
So how'd you get a car? What was that?
My wife I came into marriage with a car.
You had a car.
Actually, no, she did. I'm sorry. She had a car.
Uh-huh.
That was our car. It was an old car. We drove that for a while, and that's what we did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So a lot of the decisions you made at that point, like where to live and whether you should lease or not, were because of the being conscious financially. Is that correct?
So it's funny because back then I never really, grew up in an environment where we thought about finances, where I where we're budgeting and stuff like that. So I didn't really know that world, but I knew the reality that we didn't have a lot, and we had to I lived in reality, I think, and of course I always wanted to spend, I always wanted to do this. My wife she was very, very budget conscious in the beginning of our marriage, for sure, definitely more than myself. But I think it was like a learning progression.
And I got excited for a second because I had a very cool. How did you withstand? Did you have pressure to live differently than how you lived? Because I know people feel a lot of peer pressure. Life is expensive, of course, but there's a lot of spending in the community. How did you feel pressure? And if yes, how did you withstand that?
No, so we definitely felt pressure, especially as we're gaining our independence, and we have our apartment, we're working on our own. We're not under our parents' roof anymore. Again, this was a long time ago, but we definitely felt that pressure, and we're still young, looking at other people and say like, oh, these people are in a nicer apartment. Maybe we should leave and go to a much bigger apartment and pay. I think it was like probably double the price. Maybe we should lease a fancy car. I mean, a fancy car for us would have been a Honda Accord,
Camry.
Yeah, exactly. But we definitely had that pressure, and we may have succumbed to it a little bit, but I don't think. I think we did have to. We did live very.
So, would you say your wife was a big assistance in making sure you withstood financial pressure?
Definitely. She still is.
She still is. You have to be very disciplined, and that's something I've always respected. And you see that it can be done. Everyone in the audience should know that. Even regular people, so to speak, can be financially conscious and frugal and do things responsibly. So, so you're living in a small apartment. How many bedrooms?
When I first got married, it was one bedroom and then one just living area. It was
a kitchen, like a basement.
It was
basic living.
Correct.
And was your wife working as well, or?
Yeah, so she happened to be. She worked the full-time job in the beginning, but it didn't work out, and that's sort of when I knew I had to start working part-time at least, and that's yeah.
So let me get into the weeds a little bit about that. So when you were living in that situation, did you have cleaning help and babysitting? Or were those things that you had to, let's say, struggle or sort of work hard to? Was that considered a luxury for you?
That was definitely considered a luxury for us. I mean, I grew up always with a cleaning lady, I think once or twice a week. In my family, my wife never had that, honestly. And we didn't have one for the first good few years of our marriage.
Really?
Yeah.
So no cleaning help, but I'm assuming when you started working, your wife wasn't working as much. Was that?
Yeah, she was working more part-time when I started working, especially as we had more children.
Right.
And especially when I started working more full-time, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So that's also a very important thing. Cleaning help could be expensive.
Definitely, yes.
Very expensive. I think from my budgets that I see, it's between $700 to $1,000 a week.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how much you pay, but that's, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
So that's I think every detail you mentioned there is important for the audience to hear. How you lived responsibly, frugally, and you went to work when you needed to, which is not an easy thing for a lot of people.
No, it definitely wasn't easy.
It was the transition, I'm assuming, right? You had to transition. What was hard about that transition?
Also, just not knowing. I think you come from this yeshiva bacher lifestyle. I mean, I was still so young. I was 24 years old and never really had to think about working. I mean, I worked in the summers. I did a little bit here and there, but I wasn't in an environment where I had so much pressure to feel like I needed to make money. And now suddenly here's this, pressure like, wow, I have this responsibility. I have a wife. I have, a child and children, and that sort of pressure was very new, and we sort of had to figure out how to go about that and deal with that.
Okay, so you started a side job. Now you're moving into what was the name of the first company?
First company I worked for was Champion
Healthcare.
Yeah.
And can I ask, what was the starting salary there? Like, what were you looking at?
Oh wow, this was probably in 2015, I think.
Okay.
I think it was it was a brand new company. I think I got paid $50,000.
50,000.
Yeah, 50. Yeah, yep.
Wow, that's
And it's funny because when at that point I thought I was like, wow,
wow, you're making 50 grand.
yeah, I was like, okay, now
$50,000. Yeah, a lot has changed
Definitely.
in 10 years.
and that's
So $50,000, and that was enough to get by at that point in time. That was
yeah, I think so. I mean, it was my wife was definitely she was working more. She wasn't working part-time. She was working.
What does your wife do?
So she was
at that point in time.
At that point in time, she worked for a furniture company. She was she works in marketing, graphic design. Yeah, so she did that for a company. She actually recently just changed jobs. Yeah.
So at that time, when you were making $50,000, what was your household income between you and your wife, and what was your expenses? If you can just give a round number, like if you can think back.
Think back to that.
Were you saving? Were you saving money at that point in time?
Barely anything. Yeah, I would say we weren't saving much, especially. We probably I think we had 2 kids at that point. Not saving much, and it's funny because with every raise I got, or with every new position, or any time, it's like something I think like, oh wow, now I could be able to buy more things or save more, and then it's like every time it's like, wow, actually it's not
actually
really
more,
in that
more.
case. Exactly.
So you weren't saving much.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. Now, I think we spoke for the first time going back. It was probably around 2015, 2016. I think the first thing when we spoke, because I know you weren't saving at that point, but in financial planning we spoke. I think the first thing you got was life insurance, right? Is that correct?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. So what spurred that decision? I want people to hear this also when they begin financial planning, what the thought process is, why we start with insurance. What was your... Just, it could be very straightforward. What was your reason for getting
first off, you were a good
insurance?
salesman, definitely.
I was? Oh, there we go. I hope I still am.
Exactly. So I give you that,
in a good way.
Say that first. And
thank you.
And it's funny because I never really thought about life insurance at that point. I don't know if it was so as much talked about it as it was now, and it just came. It just came to realize like, okay, yeah, this definitely makes sense. I mean, like you can't, God forbid, have if anything, God forbid, happens, we can never be in a situation where we don't have anything. Where if there's an accident or anything like that, like we have to be prepared. We have to do our hishtadlus. We have to do what we need to do, and that was just very important for me, especially as I'm sort of building my mindset of responsibility.
Responsibility.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of people can't find the, let's say, budget. If they do it, they list their expenses. They can't find room for such an insurance policy. How did you do it if you were living, let's say paycheck to paycheck? How are you able to find the ability to buy insurance? And again, it could be a very simple answer, but to get life insurance is a big thing that we need to push and everyone should have. And here we're hearing it from someone who had a lot of expenses, but was still able to make it happen. How did you make it happen?
I mean, definitely expenses were growing at that time. Like I think with any family, I think it just came to realize like that after it was presented and we understood how important it is, we had to make room for it.
We had
to do it. It was something that I didn't, we didn't have a choice, and I definitely spoke to a lot of people about it, and I'm very pro that. Like, definitely, always ask advice to friends, rebbeim, people that in regards to anything in life. So we needed to do it, and we made it work.
Yeah, I think that's a big lesson for budgeting. My approach, I've said this a lot, is that if we're going to go and look at every single dollar and then see what's left over for a financial plan, financial security, if that's what we're going to do, then you're going to have nothing left over.
Right.
But if you go the other direction where you put money in your financial plan and financial security and then let everything else fall into place, that works a lot.
Right.
And, people will naturally cut back on those things they could cut back on. So when I, again, do budgeting with people, it could be we did a budget together maybe.
Yeah.
I don't tell people, don't spend on this, don't spend on that. We might do an overview of the budget, but I'm not here to tell people what to spend money on and what not to. I'm here to tell them what they need to do to be financially secure, and then let other things.
I feel like everyone
fall
is
into
unique.
place.
Everyone has a unique situation, and everyone. I mean, like even from the podcast you have and different people I hear, is like everyone something is important to them, and they can't give in on that, or it's something that's
right.
So it's
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I mean, that's the big thing. Like theoretically, anyone could, sleep on the park bench and eat bread and what, like obviously. So I call it lifestyle. When I do budgeting, I try to protect people's lifestyle as much as possible. We don't want to change or do anything that's going to change how you live day to day, because that's the hardest thing to do. And if we could avoid it, we can. As long as you check your boxes, you make sure your financial plan is secure. So that's just an important lesson on budgeting, just to throw it out there. Okay, so we're at the starting position.
Right.
What were you doing again at Champion? You were purchasing?
Yeah, I was the director of purchasing, but it was a very new role for me. I didn't have much experience in healthcare at all, and it was very new for me.
Very new. Starting. Okay, now you moved on from there. What was the reason that you needed to move on, and where did you move on to?
I think it was just I was growing. I think their needs were a little, they wanted maybe someone with a little more experience. So it was just time to move on.
Time to move on.
Yeah, time to move on. And it's funny, I moved on a decent amount of jobs over the years, and it's not because guy jumping from job to job. It just kind of just
like
happened.
osmosis.
Naturally, it just happened. Yeah.
It just happened through osmosis. So
Right.
you parted ways. But was it a financial decision also? Like you needed to make more money, or
I definitely needed to make more money. Definitely wanted to at that point. And as expenses were growing, yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you moved on from Champion to
I worked at a company called Topaz.
Topaz Financial or something?
Topaz Physical Service. It's also a healthcare company.
Also
yeah.
in the
Yeah,
healthcare.
exactly.
Was there anything specific about the healthcare field that attracted you to it, or it was just
No, actually, not really. I do like purchasing. I'm always very clever with that. I was always very interested in finding the best deals, knowing where to go, negotiating. So I always had that
that knack or
that
whatever?
knack, exactly. And it sort of navigated me to this field. And healthcare was just, I think in our Jewish circles, we're just very connected in that circle. So it kind of just led me that way. I think pretty much I remember all my friends at that time were all getting into that field, and it just made sense. And then once you're on that trajectory, that's for every job that I received, that I went to, it sort of just went through that trajectory.
Yeah. So, okay, so you're moving on to, you moved from Champion to Topaz, and you did purchasing there.
Yeah.
What was the pay at that point in time, if you can remember,
I
ballpark?
think I started at 70 or 75.
70 to 75.
Yeah, something like that.
And how many kids did you have at that point?
I think I had 2. I believe I shortly after that probably had my third.
Okay, so like 2-3 kids.
Yeah.
2-3 kids, $70,000. Still living in the same apartment, or you had moved at that point?
No, so we had moved. At that point. We actually stayed in our first apartment for just a year until till we had our first child.
Right.
And then it wasn't really possible with one room.
Right. Yeah.
So we moved to another apartment, and
in Rockaway.
Correct, in Rockaway.
And what was the rent?
So my first apartment,
the second one, the one you moved to. When you were working for Topaz at that time.
$1,400.
$1,400.
Yeah, $1,400.
Right. That's today you can't find anything for less than $2,000, even a starting apartment. So $1,400 apartment. And was your wife working then as well?
Yeah, she was working. Mm-hmm.
So so you had a pretty decent jump in income.
Yeah.
Let's say $20,000 a year. It's a decent jump. Did you start saving at that point?
We were saving a little bit. I
Mhm.
would say a little bit. I mean, I think every month would have been different, especially as expenses were growing, and we started to have to pay tuition and
You
more
were paying tuition.
childcare and stuff like that. So we definitely had to.
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly how much we were saving on all, but I would say at the end of the year, we would definitely save a little bit.
Save a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, again, the saving mindset was what? What spurred you to save? What were you saving for? Or you were just like, we have extra money, let's put it away. What was there a specific goal in mind when you started saving, or was it just extra money
We definitely want to save for a home. I mean, that
for
was
a
always
house?
our vision, to save for a house.
Hmm.
It never seemed feasible for me, honestly. So
Wow.
it was just interesting, but we were always just like, okay, well, let's just put away whatever we can, because that was our next goal. I mean, obviously for our children too,
Hmm.
and putting away for the future as much as we can. But I think that was our like sort of main goal.
Hmm. I got it. For the house, that's a lot of people's main
Yeah,
focus. I understand that when people need a house, that's becomes like there's no financial planning that can be done other
right.
than the house when that's on the mind. Do I necessarily agree with that? I think people have to segregate and do other planning even while they're saving for a house, but
Right.
I do understand that people's minds can't handle, planning for
Right. Exactly.
retirement
Especially
when that's looming over the
exactly that's your
foreboding.
focus.
Gabe Tenenberg, shout out to you for making a house purchasing so attractive. But that's definitely a formidable goal.
Right.
Okay, so now you're working in Topa's financial income jump, saving a little money,
Hmm.
having more children, thank God. How long did you stay by Topaz, and what was your next move?
I think I stayed there about 2.5 to 3 years. Then I moved to a different
Hmm.
healthcare company.
Hmm.
Also, worked there for about a year.
Hmm. What
And
was the reason for the move? And
it was just it was definitely, I was definitely feeling a lot more pressure to make more money, both
okay.
both for just wanting to make more money, because feeling that pressure to make more money, but also we needed it. We had more expenses were for rising. Everything like grocery bills were rising, and
Hmm.
it just became a point where it's like wow, it's just it's
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're feeling the pinch. Feeling
definitely.
the pinch, and time to get a higher salary. Okay, so you moved from Topaz. Do you remember the company that you moved to?
Yeah,
What was that?
it was Hill Valley.
Hill Valley.
Yeah,
Hill Valley Healthcare
yeah, Hill
also?
Valley Healthcare.
Yes. Okay. So now what was the numbers then? What was your salary?
So I had a few raises beforehand, so I wasn't at 70 at that point.
Mm.
I was definitely a little bit higher. I don't remember exactly what I was at, but I definitely had a few raises. So I think the salary I had at that point was 100 when I made the move. I think it was around 120. Yeah,
120,000.
something like that.
Now let me ask you a question because I know this is very hard for people that I work with, believe it or not. Asking for a raise. Did they offer that to you or you had to ask for it?
Definitely. I think every place was a little bit different, but no one really offered it. It was more like a year. I think most places look at it as like a year end type of review,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would, have to use your negotiation skills to talk about it. It was definitely never just like offered. They didn't just say, "Hey, here's a raise."
Mm-hmm. It wasn't offered.
No.
I find a lot of clients are underpaid, and it's because they have a lot of difficulty asking for a
Yeah.
raise. So, what was your average raise when you asked for one?
I would say between
8 to
8 to 12,000.
12,000.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Give or take, I would say average. I mean, some places were high. And it was definitely funny because definitely when you know, and I'm not saying this is always the move to do, because it's definitely hard to change jobs, but I find it's like easier to, when you get a new job, to make that big jump as opposed to in a current job
Mm-hmm.
to get more.
Mm-hmm. So, how did you ask for the raise? You went in and said, "Could you take me through that a little bit?" Because I
Yeah.
want all my clients and audience to hear this. Um, I think it's important information. Go ahead. Yeah.
First off, I would be very uncomfortable for a few days, thinking how I should ask, what I should do.
Right.
I mean, it was I think every place I was, it was sort of like a year end review or a semi or a or twice a year type of review or something like that. And we
Mhm.
sort of just sat down, went through my job performance, went through, what I'm doing, what I could be doing more, what projects I've done, how I've saved the company money in the position that I'm doing.
Mhm.
And we would just go through those details. And then at that point, at the end of the conversation, we have to go through that uncomfortable position of asking for more money.
You'd say, here's what so you negotiated. You
Yeah,
thought about
exactly.
it. You came in with a plan and a proposal, and then how did you ask? Sorry to get so graphic, but how did you ask for the raise? You said like maybe I could get a raise,
Yeah,
something like that.
it's funny because I think with every company it was a little bit different, but I just remember. I mean, I feel like every CEO, and I think rightfully so, is like it's sort of a game. I don't want to call it a game, but I think it is. It's sort of
Right.
just like they're trying to see how little they can, not little, but we're on the low end they can go, and I'm trying to oversell as much as I can, and sort of we meet in the middle, and you would have to. It's very uncomfortable. I mean, I remember just like. I was telling my wife like something, but I'm very prone. I think you just have to ask. I think it's don't be scared to ask
You have to do it.
because I think sometimes we think as a employee or any position really that you think like, oh wow, I'm just an employee. They don't, they're the CEO, they're the owner, they're whatever. Like sometimes you just got to ask. Like you're important, you do a lot. You go through, be very structured in what responsibilities you do, what projects you've done during the year, how you've done your job well, and how you've been an asset to the company. And I think you just gotta be a little uncomfortable, and just go for it.
Just go for it, and
yeah, definitely.
Just go for it. Really,
that's what I've definitely learned over the years.
Just go for it. Everyone has to hear that because that's the hardest part. Is you just gotta.
Correct.
You plan, you do the best you can, and then you just go for it. And maybe it'll be very uncomfortable.
Yep.
But
it definitely is going to be uncomfortable a little bit, but you may get there's always feedback that you have to go through and stuff like that, which is I guess normal, and you just got to do it.
Right. And I find that people should know that when I think a big incentive is your financial plan required it. You needed to make more, or more cash flow. And sometimes people, after they sit down with me and they see the writing on the wall, like you got to make more money. That's also an incentive to make the decision and go ask for a raise. So, again, if you're feeling underpaid and you're valuable to your company, you learn how to ask for a raise. You just got to go do it, really.
Right.
I think that's, maybe we got sidetracked a little bit, but that's important.
Definitely important.
I think it's an important piece of information. Okay, so you're in the next stage.
And just another point, I think it's also...
Yeah.
It's important, like I said, it's important just to ask, and don't be afraid of getting a bad result. Like I don't think okay, even
like getting fired or something,
or even not, just feeling like they're not going to give you anything, or you're not going to have, or they're just going to laugh in your face. Like don't be afraid of that. Just do it. Just go for it and ask for what you think is fair, and talk it through and go through the points and. That's it. Yeah.
Negotiate, meet in the middle, do it smart. Okay. All right. So you're in the next position, making about $120,000. At that point, were you thinking about a house, or you were maybe putting away some money? But
so it's actually at that point I was just in the midst of buying my house.
Yeah. Okay. So what year? What year are we talking about?
This is 20. Is it right? Like right in the middle of COVID, like towards the end.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was 2020.
2020. We're at 2020 now.
Yeah, we jumped ahead a little, right?
So here you are. You're in. Let's talk about this. You're in the journey we spoke with Gabe of buying a house. And how much money did you have saved for it?
So I remember we still had like we kept a hold of our chassid money like that.
Wow, you didn't spend it.
A little bit here, a little bit there. We added to it like when we tried to save. So I probably had maybe $40,000.
$40,000.
Yeah, 50,000 saved at that point.
And in 2020, okay, 40, 50,000. 2020, what were the houses going for in Rockaway?
Rockaway, I found in Rockaway, I don't know how. It was just, it really just fell into my lap. I had a friend that that was selling a house. And I think it's also important when you are looking for a house, especially when you're on a budget, you just have to try to be flexible where you can. It's hard. And, You're looking at your house and you're trying to buy your dream home. You're trying to say, oh, it has to have this. It has to have a master bathroom. It has to have a basement. It has to have this amount of rooms. It has to be this size. It has to be in this location. And, just in the market that we're in, especially in New York tri-state area, it's hard. It's very hard, especially when you're on a budget. So you do have to just, as much as you can, just, I think, try to be flexible. I remember always, I had a conversation with someone, I don't remember who, and just saying, this doesn't have to be your final home. Like, you tell yourself that. Like, or I had a lot of friends that would just say, oh, it has to be perfect. It has to have everything I want. It has to check all the boxes. And then you end up just not buying houses, and it just, that could potentially be the right fit for you. So we definitely had to go out of our comfort zone. I mean, the house that we bought is, actually, it's not a bad location, but it's a little bit outside of where all the live in our community. Yeah.
So you had to, let's say, forgive on certain things.
Correct. Yeah.
But that's a very important thing, not to be all or nothing. To just get the house. How important was your mortgage broker in this process?
Definitely very important, because I didn't know anything about the process, about the journey, about how to go about it, what to do. Like, there's so much nuances, and especially for someone that's just not experienced. Again, at this point, I was educating myself as much as I can, like speaking to people that went through the process. And that's another thing that I always think is as a person who, and that's, I think, why I'm here, as a person who bought a house, you should always try to be very open with how you did it, because there's a lot of people that just don't know, or think that they can't, or don't understand how to do it. So, as a person who went through the process, I'd love to try to give advice as much as I can. Again, I don't know how much advice I have. I don't know what, I don't know, how people look up to me or anything like that. I don't think I have much to say, but wherever I could, I would love to, give over as much as I can.
Okay, well, you bought a house in Frugally.
Yeah.
That's like, you got the gold medal.
But really not. It's really outside of everything.
It's outside, but that's like you said, you have to make certain things happen. Definitely. But some people can't, don't even hit that point.
Yeah.
And it was important to have a good mortgage broker. That's very good to hear. But what are the numbers? So you had 50,000 saved. That wasn't 20%. Was that 20%?
It was not 20%. Again, I did make during that time. I did. Again, I have to say this too. I don't know how much we want to get into that, but it's all b'day Shemayim also. It really is. I mean, at that point when we're going through the numbers, trying to look for houses. I mean, we were looking for a while, and everything was just like going up and up in price, and everything was just either not like something that didn't fit our price range, or didn't work for us, or we got outbid. And just at this time, like, a little bit of money came my way. Nothing crazy, but just something that really helped with the down payment. It's just a side deal I made. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
So okay, so how much was put down at the final? Could I ask, like, how much you put down for your house after all was said and done? Was it 20%?
So it wasn't 20%. It was about, I would say, about 10%.
10%. So
11%,
you pay PMI?
Yeah, I pay a little PMI.
And is that as formidable of a challenge as
No,
people
it really
make?
isn't. I think it comes out to about $90 per month.
$90 a month.
Yeah, which again is an amount, and it's yeah.
Yeah, it's something.
But it's not terrible if someone is at the point where they can't. Put down that 20%, and that, and that was something that a good mortgage broker really helped with, like understanding, like, okay, what it would be like what's the increase, what's your PMI going to look like, what's the full picture going to look like, what are you going to pay per month, and really helped us understand, like, okay, what makes sense for us.
So the mortgage broker helped. Okay, so you put down, let's say 10%. You got the house. Did you empty out your savings for it, or you had a little bit left over?
So I had a little bit left over, and we kind of wanted to do that. We didn't want to go
right. It's not a smart thing.
Is that the right word?
Right?
Yeah.
It's not smart. I tell that to people all the time, and I'm sure the mortgage brokers say it. Like, you can't empty out your savings and put yourself in that position. Put down less. I think Gabe advised us as well. Put down less, and keep something around. So for.
Yeah, definitely.
For needs. I'm sure you got a good interest rate, though, because it was a minimum.
Yeah, that definitely helped. I remember it was right before the interest rates, like, skyrocketed. That's when I, like, locked it in.
So may I ask what your interest rate is?
Yeah, of course. I think it's 3.6.
3.6. Yeah. Okay, half of what it is now.
Yeah, I just remembered it was at a point where it was like, a few months before that, it was in the twos, and it just went up. So I was thinking, I was talking with the mortgage broker, going back and forth, like, oh, should we wait because it's been fluctuating? Maybe it'll go down into the twos, and it
Wow.
was overnight. It went up into like the high fours. And I was
Wow.
like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Baruch Hashem, he locked me in.
Wow. Look how important
Yeah.
it is to have a good mortgage broker to push you to buy a house, and how important it is to just do it, really. Okay, so wow, that was a great journey there with your house. You got the house. Now I understand. Now let's maybe skip a little bit to go to where you are today. Now you're working for, again, Millennial Healthcare, right?
Healthcare.
Vice President of Purchasing. Do you feel comfortable saying your income, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I said like this, I'll say it like this. I made a comment on one of the podcasts that $250,000 to $300,000 of household income is where middle class, middle class, all the way up to maybe even $450,000 to $500,000, depending on family size, of course.
It's crazy these days.
That's middle class. And I was reading once, someone sent me a text that I believe the high middle class in the non-Jewish world is like 200,000, like something like that. So, what is your household income? And we'll follow up with questions, of course.
So yeah, Baruch Hashem, me and my wife both have increased over the years.
Right.
Household income.
It could be a ballpark number.
Yeah, because there are some and this is something that I think just happened naturally. There are a little bit of side hustles that I do.
Oh yeah.
On the side now that increases it, so it's hard to gauge. I would definitely say it's near that 300 mark.
Yeah.
To
250.
high two. No, probably high twos.
Right.
To
right.
To threes. Yeah.
Right. Oh wow. So perfect. Like I said, a perfect middle class.
Yeah, you got
a first class middle class
There you go.
citizen. But you mentioned something about side hustles, and that's what I tell people a lot. How if they do a side hustle, they can really take their plan to the point of where they're just maybe surviving to saving.
Right.
Give me an example of one of your side hustles.
So on the side, and obviously this has to work. Everyone has, I think everyone's bandwidth these days are stretched as thin as possible. Where everyone's super, super busy. So I think you really have to look at really look at everything and see how it's going to affect you and how it's going to affect your family and how you're going to make this work. But I'm doing a little bit of consulting for other companies and doing purchasing for them. The same way I do it for my company. I'm doing a little bit on the side. Obviously, it's not nothing crazy because I still have to focus very much on my main job. But this is something I do a little bit on the side, and it brings in a little bit.
Yeah, a little extra money, cash flow. And listen, I know now, after working with you for many years, you're able to save some money.
Yeah.
And you're able to also put away money for retirement, even, right?
Yeah.
From your company. I'm assuming they offer a match, right?
Yeah. So both my company and my wife's company both offers a match. Yeah.
Offer a match, and that's important to utilize. A lot of companies offer 401ks or 403bs or whatever they're called, and you get a match. You get a match for that. So now, again, you're at the point where you're able to save. So you went from, I guess, all the way from making $50,000 to pushing yourself into the middle class, being able to go on offense.
Yeah.
Could I ask you the value of having a financial planner? Because I know we worked together for a while.
Yeah.
What is that to you, the value of a planner?
I think it's very important. I mean, I think everyone's going to look at it differently and how, how they focus on it. But I think it brings everything to perspective because I think we just living right now and especially just how everything has increased. I mean, I can just look at our grocery bills and our just day-to-day expenses, tuition, everything from A to Z has, I think, just gone up over the years. So it's so, you sometimes I feel like you just go through you're just on this road and you're just on this road where everything costs and it's hard to bring everything into perspective and understand where you can cut back or what a budget should be for this and how you should, how you could right the ship in just in regards to anything really. And it's super important because it's, like I said, it's just so hard these days. It's just very hard to understand, right? Yeah.
Right. So having someone, like you say, steady the ship.
Yeah.
I mean, what got you to meet a planner? Was it a hard decision? And what would you tell people? We'll wrap up the podcast with this. Was it a hard decision? I mean, was it hard to go to a planner? And how would you advise people regarding having a planner? Would you say if they're having some kind of roadblock, what would you say is a way to get over that?
I mean, it's definitely, especially like I said, when we started, I was very young and I didn't know too much about finances and how to budget and everything like that. So when it was presented to me, a financial planner, it was very foreign to me. But when everything came into light and I understood like, wow, like I could make, I will make more money. I will be able to save. I could be in a scenario where I can live comfortably and still put away and still deal with all the things that come into life and all the expenses and everything that happens. But it just made so much sense to just like, wow, okay, here's someone that can just help us go A through Z and understand what I could do, what I can't do, where I can cut back on, what to focus on, how to save, what will be the best way to utilize it, like you mentioned with properly setting up your
Kid and
correct, your kids, your IRAs, any type of fund that you need, and it's just super super important, and it just really makes sense. It's very, like I said, it's so hard to do it on your own. I mean, maybe some people can, and I don't know, but I just know myself and a lot of people that I know. It's the road is hard, and to have someone there to help give you advice is essential.
And those people that are finding it hard to take that jump, what would you say is your best advice?
I think, like I said, I think I always tell this to everyone: just speak to, just do it. Just speak to someone. Just speak to someone and talk it over. Understand. I don't think there's a major financial expense to it or anything like that. It's just something. Just go about doing it. And if anything, you had a conversation, and more likely than not, you'll come out of there learning a lot.
So, being in the middle class, how does that feel to you? And are there things that you wish are different from where the situation you're in right now that you would love to have? Let's say.
That's an interesting question. So, I mean, I would say to wish anything different. I think I don't think that's a good world to live in. I think it's like this is your reality. This is you right now, and everyone's going to be different. Everyone. Situation is different. So to look at, there's always peer pressure. There's always looking at others and seeing like, oh wow, this person got this car and this person got this house and this person's moving here, and that there's always a little thing in my mind that always comes across. But I think that's just a distraction, and I think you really just have to go through the road and just be able to look at what you can do and look at how you can change and look at what you can do with your finances. And I mean, like I said, everyone's case is different. And, there's some people that could make it work with a lot less money, but some people can't at all. So I think when it comes to that, there's going to be pressure. That's normal. And everyone's going to think that. And I'm sure that happens in every single circle from the lowest level to the highest level. But I think it's just like, try to keep your eyes forward and look and look at the road ahead and do whatever, do what makes sense and do what you need to do to make things work.
Wow. So you see everyone out there in the middle class, the forgotten middle class.
Exactly.
There is hope.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Shalom was very good at, being disciplined, to stay in your lane and finding happiness there.
Right. I mean, listen, like I said, you can look at tuition and complain, oh, it's so expensive, and it's so expensive to live in the Jewish community, and it's groceries are expensive. And I think it's like we're all going to say that, and we're going to want to talk about that at times. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's just where we are.
Just the reality.
Exactly. And
just the reality. Right. Wow, Shalom, I was very happy that you came on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I know you're probably feeling, what am I doing on this podcast? But you offered so many insights that I want people to hear. And that's what the podcast is about giving our audience crucial information. I can't wait to hear feedback from everyone, please, like you've been doing so well. And thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And so I wish you all the best.
Very good.
Thank you.